Let's talk some Oregon Ducks recruiting. Less than a week after Max and I were on here telling Oregon Duck fans not to worry about anything in recruiting, they miss on another 5-star. And guess what? Me and Max are back to tell Oregon Duck fans, don't worry about a thing in recruiting. All right, Max. So we saw a familiar sighting this week. We saw Oregon miss on a 5-star, but right afterward, we saw another prediction for another 5-star at the same position. Last week, it was Jared Curtis. They missed on him, and he went to Georgia. And Oregon caught a crystal ball for Ryder Lions. Now, we miss on Jackson Cantwell, and we see an Oregon pick go in for Emmanuel Ianacho, the number 2 ranked offensive tackle in America. So, what's the latest on Ianacho? Because I don't think that he's about to commit. Do you?
No, I don't think that he's anywhere close to a decision right now. I want to say that there were reports of a late summer decision, maybe in August, but I
Right.
haven't been able to confirm that myself. And let's not forget, Josh, Oregon did land a 5-star over the weekend, but I know we're talking about offensive line. So with Manny Ianacho, this is a guy that Oregon has prioritized for a while. He hasn't been out to campus that many times. I think he's only been twice, as a matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
not dissimilar from the Cantwell situation, but they got him back on campus for an official visit. I fully expect Oregon to get an official visit for Manny Ianacho during his recruiting process. The coaching staff did go out to see him in Baltimore during the spring evaluation period here, so they are doing the right things as far as getting that FaceTime with him. And
Right.
I'll be honest, Josh, I did hear some rumblings from one of my sources well before the Cantwell situation, just about Manny Ianacho maybe being the guy that Oregon was going to prioritize a bit more, which is a little interesting given the Missouri connection there, obviously, with Dan Lanning. But kind of like we saw with Curtis and Ryder Lions, similar here, we have Cantwell and Ianacho. You felt, and it continues to feel like Oregon's going to get one of those two 5-star guys. And Alik Terry's been doing a tremendous job here in this one.
Yeah, you know Oregon's recruiting at a high level when they miss on a 5-star and only get a prediction for another 5-star to replace that one. So we got to watch and see on Emmanuel Ianacho. We're going to keep a close eye on that one. But, you know, if you're a Duck fan, you're looking at this offensive line class and you're saying, well, we missed on Cody Green. Now we missed on Jackson Cantwell. So besides Ianacho, who else do you think right now Duck fans need to focus on the offensive line?
There's a couple big names, and I actually got to see one of them over the weekend when I traveled out to Salt Lake City for the Under Armour camp, and that's Jax Tanner, an interior offensive lineman from Meridian, Idaho, Rocky Mountain High School. He is a really, really quality offensive lineman that the Ducks appear to be turning the heat up on. It looks like they're battling BYU in that recruitment, and I think some other ones to keep an eye on. He's a Mission kid, so he is a little bit down the road, but I think that's still a guy that Oregon covets here in the 2026 recruiting class. But aside from Manny Ianacho, I think you also have to mention Kelvin Obot from the state of Idaho as well. He is a 4-star in the On3 industry rankings out of Fruitland, and he's an offensive tackle. You also have Tommy Tofi from the Bay Area in Northern California, San Francisco, California, Archbishop Reardon. He's another target that Alik Terry and the Ducks have been on for quite a while. I think those are the main names that you have to keep an eye on here when you're looking at what's next for Oregon on the offensive line here in 2026.
All right. Let's kind of circle back to the quarterback position because we saw that pick go in for Ryder Lions right after Jared Curtis goes to Georgia, but there's no movement there. But we did see Oregon offer a new quarterback, Matt Ponatoski, out of Cincinnati. So now that the dust is kind of settled at the quarterback position, we got a little time now to breathe. How do you see this shaking out?
That was an interesting offer, Josh, because he's in the state of Ohio where Oregon is starting to get a little bit better results on the recruiting trail. Also a fairly late offer, if you want to call it that, with so
Yeah.
many of the top quarterbacks already off the board and committed, with Ryder Lions being the top uncommitted prospect at the position right now. But Ponatoski worked out for Will Stein. He said that in the little announcement with his offer. He worked out for offensive coordinator Will Stein, and then he got the offer from the Ducks. And I think that I'm not ready to put a prediction in or say anything overly confident about the Ducks landing him. But Oregon is one of those offers that I think moves the needle for just about any recruit. What's going to be interesting with Ponatoski is how baseball factors into things. I was talking to a source not too long ago that said, Max, this guy's probably a top 10 pick type of talent. He has the potential to get drafted right out of high school. So who even knows if he's going to really pursue football seriously, but that's a really gifted quarterback. He's produced tremendous results. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Idaho and won the Mr. Football Award over Tavian St. Clair, the Ohio State quarterback, early enrollee, who's a tremendous player in his own right. So I think it's going to be interesting to follow how this thing develops with Ponatoski. Maybe he gets out to Eugene for a visit. I think that's obviously the next step here. But I've been trying to get an interview myself to get some more updates on kind of where he's at in his process. But anytime a big school like that enters the mix, I think maybe it gives a recruit an opportunity to maybe pump the brakes a little bit. And it just shows them, hey, like I'm the real deal if these kind of schools are coming after me. So with Ryder Lions being a Michigan kid as well, he's obviously a little bit down the line, and I think the Ducks are still going for a quarterback here in the 26 class.
So what do you think the timeline is for Ryder Lions and his commitment?
Yeah, I talked to Ryder Lions last week, and I got an interview with him over on Scoop Duck. He has some official visits set. You got USC, Oregon, and BYU here in the month of June next month. But when I asked him about his timeline, he was pretty candid about it. He just said as soon as possible. So he doesn't have a set date right now, but it seems like he's leaning towards coming off the board sooner rather than later. He also kind of added that if he does make his commitment before official visit season, maybe he'll see himself just taking an official visit to that school and moving forward from there. So Ryder Lions is kind of that big fish for Oregon here in the 26 class, but because of the timeline with him and the mission trip, I think they still want to get a true 2026 quarterback here, Josh.
All right. Lots of developments in this Oregon recruiting world. Max Torres from Scoop Duck, thank you for dropping by the Inside Scoop today.
Thanks for having me, Josh.